A crowd roars for Daredevil as he pierces a person's heart with a casual flick of his wrist. He obliterates his opponent's face with a swift kick, making the crowd cheer even louder. "Ladies and gentlemen, and whatever the hell you are," the announcer booms, "your winner, Daredevil!" He asks the audience if they ever doubted their champion and urges them to bring food, fur, or anything they have to gamble for the next match, promising even more fresh meat for the Daredevil. "Next up on Bite Night is Children's Hour," the announcer declares as the caregivers shove the chained Daredevil into a cage. One man warns another to be careful, but the man shoving Daredevil inside mocks the other man, claiming he's not stupid. Suddenly, the people present are killed. A voice cuts through the air. It's Frank Castle. "Do you remember me?" Frank asks, standing over Daredevil's cage. "I heard you were here. I can finish it for you now if you'd like. Or I can turn you into a walking bomb, and tomorrow, you can take those animals with you. Understand?" Later, as Daredevil comes out of his cage, his handlers wonder about the fate of his previous caretakers. They assume a better offer lured them away. As they go up the stairs, anticipation builds amongst the crowd, their cheers echoing through the arena. The man notices Daredevil's unusual silence and wonders if he's been overfed. But the woman assures him that Daredevil fights no matter what. Daredevil lifts his head inside the arena, a resolve in his sight. Meanwhile, outside, Frank Castle uses a bomb to pry open a sewer lid and disappears into the darkness. Spider-Man doesn't believe in no-win scenarios. It's the New Yorker in him. He learned this from his Aunt May. Don't give up, she'd say. There's always hope. He felt this in the darkest situations. Spider-Man battled power-mad demigods, maniacal goblins, and the devil himself. But even in the face of the unspeakable odds, hope remains. Surrounded by monsters, his mask barely conceals his exhaustion as Spider-Man holds them off. He tells the bystanders to back off, and Jonah's voice is drowned by the city's pandemonium. Even with his mask on, the stench of death is overpowering. He keeps waiting for it, for that glimmer of hope. Instead, he sees more of them. The monsters just keep coming. Jonah's panicked voice sends a chill through Spider-Man's already exhausted body. He runs on instinct, his body pushed to its limits. The weight of the bystander's survival resting solely on his shoulders. He thinks of Aunt May, of Mary Jane. Are they safe? Have they found shelter from the monsters? A familiar face charges towards him and he snaps out of his thoughts. It is Betty Brant, Jonah's secretary, the first girl he ever loved. But her face is twisted horrifyingly, her eyes filled with hunger. As he defeats Betty, another figure attacks him. Robbie Robertson, the first person at the Daily Bugle who believed in him, was a true friend. But like Betty, he is gone, replaced by a monstrous shell. Spider-Man prays for the safety of Aunt May and Mary Jane. The thought of them is his only source of hope in this grim world. Everywhere he looks, there are monsters, clawing, biting, pushing, and killing. But Spider-Man can't and won't give up. He looks back at the remaining survivors, seeing the fear in their eyes. He knows he can't let them down. The battle is far from over, but Spider-Man refuses to surrender. He will fight until the last monster falls, until hope returns to the city, and until he knows that Aunt May and Mary Jane are safe. Jonah triggers the fire alarm, which momentarily distracts the monsters. Spider-Man feels a glimmer of hope, a desperate plea for support escaping his lips. "Avengers? On your frequency. Anyone! A Cap, Iron Man, anyone! We're pinned down at the Bugle. Civilians trapped inside. We need backup. Getting them out clear." His voice crackled through the communicator, met only by a deafening silence. Static. A chilling reminder that hope was a fleeting thing, and it might be gone. "Jonah, barricade the doors. I'll hold them off," Spider-Man orders, his voice strained. He can't bear to tell him the truth that the Avengers were AWOL. "I've called the Avengers," he adds, a lie that weighs heavy on his heart. The fire alarm can buy them only a few precious seconds, and the thought of the approaching onslaught fills him with dread. He tells Jonah to get to safety and not worry about him. His watch buzzes, bringing a sliver of hope. "Read you, Spider-Man. On our way. Things are pretty dicey right now." Hawkeye's voice, though distorted, brings tears to Spider-Man's eyes. "Tell your people to hang in there." His spider sense, usually a keen guardian, remains sluggish. Before he can react, a hard blow strikes the back of his head. He manages to turn his head around to see who attacked him, and his eyes widen in disbelief. He doesn't want to believe what he's seeing, but the undeniable truth stares him in the face. His own Aunt May stands before him, her eyes lacking their usual warmth and replaced by a chilling emptiness. His heart sinks and a part of him dies at this moment. Spider-Man can't believe that this is real. He believes it has to be a mirage, a trick by Norman, Harry, the Jackal, or someone who has discovered his identity. They must have created an android or a clone, but deep down, he knows it is his beloved Aunt May. He can still smell her perfume through the stench of death and decay, and the bright blue blouse she's wearing is the one that she had bought herself just days ago after months of saving. Spider-Man can't bear to fight back. It's his Aunt May, the woman who raised him with Uncle Ben and then alone after his death. She had given him everything she could, every minute and every dime. He knew she was a good woman. The best. The rock hurtled towards him, but he didn't even flinch. He pleads with his aunt to stop, but she only cares about asking where her frail and kind nephew is. As Spider-Man takes his mask off, his aunt's eyes widen in recognition. She realizes that she has become a monster and pleads with Spider-Man to kill her. With a heavy heart, Spider-Man does the unthinkable. He smashes his fist into Aunt May's face, the sound echoing in the surroundings. He cries and keeps repeating to himself that this isn't her, like a mantra. It is the only way he can get himself to do it. The last shred of hope he had clung to turns to smoke. As he looks at his wounded arm, he knows his story is over. Even if his heart didn't accept it, he knew it was true. Just then, Jonah bursts through the door, urging Spider-Man to safety. But Spider-Man only shakes his head, tears streaming down his face. "Run, Jonah! Run for your life!" he begs. Chicago, Illinois, 328 years after the zombie outbreak. The last survivors should reach Zone C by morning, Moon Knight thought grimly. Khonshu is happy that they can be done with this city, but Moon Knight isn't too happy. "We have to help these people, Khonshu," Moon Knight argues. Khonshu insists that they have stayed for far too long and need to go their way now. Moon Knight replies saying that they haven't stayed long enough. Khonshu observes that his vessel doesn't trust him, and Moon Knight spits back that he does not and has no reason to. "My son, Mark, we are not alone," Khonshu says just as the portal opens, spewing forth a horde of zombified canines. Moon Knight leaps into action, his blades glimmering in the moonlight as he carves through the undead canines. However, Khonshu expresses that he feels something is off. "What gave it away?" Mark asks sarcastically while dodging a snapping jaw. "Two down, one more to go," Moon Knight thinks, focusing on the last canine. Suddenly, a beam of energy blasts the monster apart. Iron Man, his metallic body glowing with green light, stands before them. Iron Man expresses that Moon Knight is a hard man to find. Iron Man expresses that it wasn't too hard to find Khonshu, though. Moon Knight cautiously asks Iron Man since when has he been able to see the gods. "Who have you gotten mixed up with, Stark?" asks Moon Knight. Anubis, the Egyptian god of the afterlife and Khonshu's brother, arrives behind Iron Man. "Khonshu," Anubis sneers. "Lovely timing for the end of the world, isn't it?" "Stop this at once, Anubis!" Khonshu demands, his voice echoing with power. "Think of your father, Anubis," says Khonshu. "My father's time has ended. My reign has come. No soul will cross to his afterlife. I will not be his tool any longer. This chaos is a gift. You will see that, Khonshu. But first, I need a way to prevent you and your vessel from interfering." He gestures towards Iron Man, whose eyes glow with a sinister light. Fortunately for Anubis, he found an undead host more than willing. Iron Man attacks Moon Knight, his touch burning the flesh on Moon Knight's chest. "Does it hurt?" he asks mockingly. "Khonshu, we need to end this!" Moon Knight screams, his pain fueling his anger. He lunges at Iron Man, his blades beaming. As Moon Knight stabs Iron Man, he feels a searing pain in his arm. Iron Man has bitten him, his teeth tearing through flesh and bone. Iron Man soars away, his voice echoing through the ruined cityscape. "Just for that little stunt, Moon Knight," he growls. "I'll make sure to send my thanks to the team below." Unleashing his hunger, Iron Man rips through fleeing civilians, tearing their limbs apart and devouring them with macabre glee. Moon Knight lies injured and bleeding, watching in horror. Frustration boils within him, and he weakly calls out to Khonshu for help. Khonshu tells Moon Knight to get up. Moon Knight can't think straight and believes that everyone is going to die. "When have you ever needed your mind?" Khonshu retorts. "Faith has never needed rationality." Trust in my guidance, he says as he extends his hand towards Moon Knight. Meanwhile, Iron Man continues his rampage, savoring the screams of his victims. A terrified teenager begs for his life, but Iron Man merely laughs. And who, pray tell, is going to stop me? Suddenly, a figure drops from the shadows. It is Moon Knight, his eyes blazing with newfound resolve. He lands a powerful blow on Iron Man, sending the monstrous Avenger staggering. As the teenager makes his escape, Iron Man glares at Moon Knight. Do you think you can stop me? We're on the same side. Anubis intervenes. This battle is lost, Stark. We will fight again. Moon Knight, fueled by Khonshu's guidance, launches a relentless assault. With a final decisive blow, he obliterates Iron Man, leaving nothing but a pile of broken metal and rotting flesh. Khonshu is pleased with his vessel. He places a hand on Moon Knight's shoulder and asks Moon Knight if he is hungry. Without hesitation, Moon Knight rips into Iron Man's remains, devouring the flesh with a ravenous hunger. Who am I to deny my avatar? Khonshu chuckles. The other heroes may judge you, but they will soon follow in your footsteps. We will soon run out of former allies to consume, but for now, I can indulge you. I am a merciful father, but you must listen to me. Can you do that, my son? Moon Knight looks up at his god, his face smeared with blood, and answers with conviction. Of course, father. Mr. Fantastic welcomes the team to Spire as they head to their destination. Human Torch expresses that it's as if Mr. Fantastic was trying to build a reed, and it's hard to take it in all at once. The Thing is just glad Mr. Fantastic didn't build him a house. He saw the blueprints, and it didn't have any stairs for one thing. As they get out of their vehicle, Mr. Fantastic expresses that it is his point, as painful as it may be. Invisible Woman asks Mr. Fantastic not to do this and let the other three of them help, but Reed is adamant. He has 7 days to stop this zombie plague. The world has a literal deadline. The Thing empathizes with Reed and knows that he wants no distractions, and he understands. After bidding farewell to the other Fantastic Three, Reed promises to make his sacrifice worth it. And then, the three leave. Right now, the whole world needs Reed. With everything at his disposal, Reed still feels uneasy. As he steps into his laboratory, his robot, Herbie, speaks up. Reed asks Herbie to begin recording everything, starting from the beginning, the first symptom of the zombie virus. The robot speaks up, stating the lack of appetite, abrasions on the skin, chills, fever, and then dementia as the symptoms. Reed asks Herbie what follows after that. Herbie responds with death and a 100% fatality rate. Herbie and Reed get to work, their determination fueled by a promise to themselves and humanity. The clock ticks relentlessly, reminding them that 6 days stand between them and Earth's potential doom. The next morning, Anthony Stark calls Reed. Time is precious, and Reed grants him only 2 minutes. He explains that this brief conversation means he won't be able to speak to his family today. Anthony's update is grim. Their jokes about Mole Man being the last human seems tragically prophetic. One infected breached their defenses, wiping out him and his Moloid colony. All he wanted was to be cared about, says Reed. Reed counters with a chilling observation. With your power set, Tony, you're most likely to be the last of us. Your entire infrastructure relies on a sealed environment. Anthony confirms this, mentioning failed attempts to mass-produce protective suits for ordinary people. Fear kept people from wearing the suits. He tried to mention Super Skrull's action, but Reed cuts him off. I am not discussing that, Stark. Please don't call again, he says, frustrated, ending the call. Pleasantries and gossip. We have 8,000 minutes left, and you waste 2 on chatter. I thought he'd understood. 5 days remain. Away from his family, Reed feels the Spire's deliberate lack of stimulation taking its toll. He forgets to eat, sleep, and bathe without Herbie's reminders. Herbie diligently serves him his bland, pre-programmed meals. Despite his isolation, he finds a curious comfort in it. I should find it horrifying, but simply cannot spare the brain power, he thinks. I forgot to arrest my playability. Forgot to form into something I used to be before the cosmic rays. 4 days left. As dawn breaks, a ray of hope pierces the darkness. Reed jolts awake, remembering the cosmic rays. His metabolism, he realizes, has a natural resistance to nearly every known virus, slowing them down to a crawl. This revelation sparks a new fire in his eyes. The cosmic rays, once a source of scientific curiosity, now hold the key to saving humanity. He directs Herbie to analyze his genetic code, searching for clues to unlock the secrets of his immunity. With renewed vigor, Reed throws himself into the research, fueled by the hope that his unique physiology may hold the cure to the zombie plague. The fate of the world rests on his shoulders, and he won't let them down. "We expose the entire population to the cosmic rays," Reed declares, his voice brimming with urgency. "But, Professor," Herbie interjects, "the rays' effects are unpredictable." Reed, his face filled with determination, replies, "Herbie, I've fought all my life. Cancel all sleep and eating schedules for the next 48 hours. We're starting production of the cure now." As Herbie alerts him to his children's goodnight call, Reed, consumed by his mission, forces himself to ignore it. 3 days remain. Reed, exhausted but resolute, connects with Iron Man. "Anthony, I've done it. It's not a cure, but I've made a vaccine," he announces. "Download Herbie. He has all the information to start production. Then, I'm going home to my family." Anthony, his voice heavy with regret, speaks up. "Reed, I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you before. You deserve so much more." "It was Super Skrull, Reed. He was one of the first-level threats we targeted for the virus. Fantastic Four fought him, but the world lost the Fantastic Four." Reed absorbs the devastating news, his heart sinking. 1 day left. Doom, Puppet Master, Galactus. He fought them all in one, yet here he is defeated by an unexpected foe. Grief. Herbie announces supper time, but Reed, his body ravaged by the virus, declines. "I'm not hungry, Herbie," he says weakly. "Clean up Spire when it's time." Reed's unique metabolism, though slowing the virus, cannot stop it. As the plague consumes him, he offers his final words to his faithful companion. "I'm gonna miss the universe, Herbie." Almost 4 centuries have passed since the zombie plague swept across the universe, consuming countless worlds in its wake. Beta Ray Bill, hardened by the trials he's faced, receives a distress call that sends chills down his spine. Asgard, the realm eternal, is under attack from unknown invaders. Landing on the battlefield, Bill witnesses a sight that defies comprehension. Asgardians, those mighty warriors of legend, lie slain, their bodies ravaged by an unseen force. Sif, her breath failing, offers a sorrowful greeting before succumbing to her wounds. Grief threatens to consume Bill, but he knows he has to stay strong. Ahead, he sees a scene that fills him with horror. Thor, his former friend, and the other Avengers, transformed into monsters, hunger glinting in their eyes. Their attacks are clumsy, driven by a mindless urge to feed. Though easily repelled, their sheer number poses a significant threat. Bill fights with the fury of a cornered beast, his Corbinite physiology preventing their transformation. But amidst the chaos, he sees a flicker of hope. Children, armed with nothing but stones, stand defiant against the undead horde. Their courage fuels his resolve. He knows he can't save everyone, but he won't give up on those who still fight. Ordering his ship Scuttlebutt to prepare for departure, he leads a desperate charge, rescuing the brave souls who stand their ground. Though forced to retreat, Bill knows this is only the beginning. The pathogen spreads to every corner of the universe, corrupting every world it touches. Yet in the darkest of times, Bill finds allies. From every race and planet, heroes rise to join his cause. Their passion reignites his fading faith, and with each rescued survivor, he remembers that life, however battered, will endure. Centuries later, deep in space, a young boy named Egos finds Bill lost in thought. Sensing his sadness, Egos reminds him that even though he misses his old friends, he can still make new ones. In that simple act, Egos reignites the hope that Bill thought he'd lost. Decades later, on the planet Ordinato, Egos, now a young man, brings news of a potential survivor signal. Bill, his heart filled with renewed purpose, rallies his team. Though the scars of the past run deep, the spirit of resilience burns bright. Time moves on, and the plague persists, but hope, like a tenacious vine, clings to life. And with it, so do the heroes who refuse to let the darkness win. The X-Force, a team of heroes hardened by the zombie apocalypse, faces a heartbreaking mission to take down their former leader, Cable. Dominated by the virus and driven by insatiable hunger, Cable poses a significant threat. As they strategize, Warpath reveals a shocking truth. He has been bitten. Despite knowing his fate, Warpath insists on leading the charge against Cable, driven by a deep affection for his former mentor. Seeing his condition, the team joins him and they go to battle against Cable. Warpath, fueled by his desire to protect his friends, unleashes a relentless assault, ultimately severing Cable's arm. The fight is a brutal dance of pain and loss, which end in Warpath's self-sacrificing act, decapitating Cable. However, the victory comes at a terrible cost. Warpath fails to resist the virus and turns into a monster himself. With tears in his eyes, Cannonball promises to return for his fallen friend. If you think this is crazy, check out our list of Marvel what-ifs.